should we reconsider our thought and should we start working on moving back? And she initially heard it. It was a surprise for her, but she didn't say no at that point. That's a dimension that people can think. If you want to do fire, then moving to India would be a good option.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about your financial planning, right? Anything that you have done and you are willing to share, like, with your 401k fund.
When he said all those check boxes getting ticked, ours like an ideal scenario, right? It had its fair amount of challenges. I wouldn't lie about it. But the one thing that we were always concerned about was how will the kids do well,
Yes.
right?
So I would say in next 5 years or so, there will be a lot of mechanical engineering companies who does advanced level of work. Okay. But we would always say, whenever there is a discussion, we would always say, oh, if we were in India, this is how it is.
So without including housing
Yeah.
and school fees, because we pay it off annually, right? I think we spend around 50 at the max.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Desi Return. Today, we have Mr. Shankar and Divya on our show to talk about their return to India experience. So they spent close to 21 years before moving to India, and it's been a couple of years since they moved to India. And I'm really looking forward to this discussion. Someone who spent a couple of decades, why they moved, what are the primary reasons for how long they planned, and how the life is after the move, and much more. With that, welcome Mr. Shankar and Divya to our show, and glad to have you.
Yep. Thank you, Avinash. Thank you for giving us a chance to share our experience and our learnings.
For sure. Really appreciate it. So let's start with your background, your education background, what made you to move to US, and we will go from there.
Okay. So first, I'll do my part and then I'll let Divya talk her. So, I'm originally from Kerala, where I did my 12th, and after that, I moved to Durgapur for my engineering, RDC Durgapur, which is now NIT. So, I graduated from my engineering in 2001, which is the year, if you're in that age group, you would know that almost everyone got placed in a good job, but no one had a joining date to join. So we were all happy that we got a job, but we were at the same time we could not join and get our salary, right? So at the time, then I thought, okay, what to do? I anyway had plans for higher studies, so I thought, okay, this is the time. Maybe this is a sign from above. I just started preparing for GRE, and then I went for my master's in 2002 to Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, Oklahoma. So in 2002, I started my master's. I finished my master's in 2004. And after my PhD, I've been with two companies. First company for a short time, and then with my current company for almost 14 years now. Yeah.
Very nice.
So I joined the cycle 2008, born and raised in Trichy, Tamil Nadu, and then went to BITS Pilani for my undergraduate. I did my Master of Management Studies there, worked in Gurgaon for a couple of years, and I knew Masters was the next logical step for me. Got married in the interim, so then I also landed at Oklahoma State University. They have a really good quantitative finance program. I knew that's where my interests were. Graduated in 2010, and because we were in Oklahoma, oil and gas, Texas is the bread and butter. Oil and gas is the bread and butter for most of us out there. Started with Citgo Petroleum, worked there for almost most of our time that I was in Texas, so almost 15 years with the oil and gas industry. And we did move around a little bit. We were in Baltimore for a brief period of time, but Texas was the place that we liked. We were not really very happy with East Coast. So moved back to Texas, continued in oil and gas. He was with Danfoss, the same company that he is in right now. But deep inside, we always knew India is where we want to be. India is where we want to spend the rest of our lives in. So it was then deciding that time frame that we wanted to get back here.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot for that nice overview. Sounds like I think both of you have a nice long careers, being at a one company for 14 years, the same industry, it's a long time. So I think sounds like you're enjoying it and you're having, good time.
Yeah.
So I think as you kind of teed it in, like, when did this thought of moving to India, has it been always there for a long time? And if not, when did this thought occurred? And what was some of the planning that was done
Yeah.
beforehand?
I jokingly say to Divya that when we were getting married, one of the conditions I put her for marriage was that we have to come back to India eventually.
Yeah.
So, but jokes aside, the moment I went to do for masters, I knew I wanted to come back to India. Um, it could be many reasons, but family mainly, and for me, culturally, personally, being close to India was culturally was something that I wanted to do. So yeah, it has been there for me from ever since. And when I told Divya when we were getting married that eventually I want to come back to India, she said that's fine. She was on board with that idea, and she never questioned that. But we never really
Put a realistic timeline at that
yeah,
point.
I just said it's a condition, but we never put a date. We never talked about it in all our 20 years. We never talked about coming back to India. So
Such slowly started having the discussion sometime around 2017, 2018 timeframe. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, so we had this thought. When do we really want to do it? Are we still in this first question was, are we still in the same boat? Do we still want to go back to India?
Yeah.
So I think Shankar was 100% on board. I was probably like 60-40 at that time when the initial discussion started. Then we have this huge checklist of things. It's like, okay, do we really want to do it at this time? Is it fine? Or when is the right time to do it?
yeah. So that was in 2018, but then life kept on going. We just talked
Then
it once,
COVID did it.
and then COVID happened. So everything came to a grinding halt. We said like, oh, move is not going to happen now. We didn't even think about move. COVID was taken everything about that. So we didn't even think about move or anything. And then things started settling down in 2021, around August or September, I just opened the discussion. I didn't know how Divya is going to react to that. Because actually, in 2021, when COVID hit, we kind of mentally were prepared that we will never go back.
Oh,
So, but we haven't said that to each other,
yeah,
but
yeah,
we kind of felt that this is not going to happen. That move is not going to happen.
yeah.
So, with that in the mind, I knew if I put that idea, I will get some resistance. But still, I took up some courage and said, "Okay, should we reconsider our thought and should we start working on moving back?" And she initially heard it. It was a surprise for her, but she didn't say no at that point. So that itself was a positive sign for me.
Yeah.
Instantly, she didn't say no. She just said, "Why now? Why did you ask me now?" I said, "I mean, we both want to go back. So, and this is the time. If you don't do it now, it's never going to happen. So we have to do it in next 2 3 years. Otherwise, it's never going to happen." That's it. I left it there. Actually, I didn't leave it there. Once I put that idea, and she didn't say no, then every day this is funny for me, but looking back, it's funny for me. Every day, um, when I'm in the office and she's in the office, I would send some links or some Excel spreadsheet with some scenarios and everything. Every day I would send one. And by fourth or fifth day, she was so mad at me. She came back from the office and said, "You have to stop doing this. You have to give me some time to think and process this because there's a lot more. Because we had a house, we had a good career, everything. Like there's no problem at all, right? We had a good circle of friends, amazing circle of friends that we had. So she said, "You have to stop doing this. Give me time. You asked me. Give me time. Let me think about it, and I'll come back to you."
Yeah.
Then after that,
Yeah, it does seem very funny thinking back about it, but then we thought about it, discussed. one thing that probably COVID also taught us was our parents seem to be aging way faster than we had originally anticipated, right? Probably that lockdown, staying indoors, and we were visibly able to see it. So that was the only motivation that I needed to really come back. And but then we had to get through the mental process of trying to list down the pros and the cons, right? What exactly are we giving up? What would we be gaining going back?
Yeah.
There are certain things to which you can never add a monetary value. You can never quantify it. It's more qualitative. So then back to the drawing board, trying to decide the place. I kind of knew where I wanted to move, but I left it up to him. He was like having a very broad view, but I was bent upon Bangalore. I knew this is where we are coming. Um, but then the other smaller details as to pretty much the things that we said, we had a very set career out there. So what next? We knew that his job is pretty flexible. He would be able to move. But I may have to end up giving up my job out there, that entire career that I had built. Am I ready for that? We walked it down and we were like, okay, we ran multiple models to see what could be the scenario. So talk to friends, family who are already settled here in Bangalore to figure out. Okay, so do you want to step back and see why Bangalore was the choice?
Yeah, sure. So, well, I said I'm from Kerala, right? So, but Kerala doesn't have good opportunities at this point, right? But Divya's parents are from Bangalore. So once they retired, they moved back to Bangalore. So we knew that we have to be closer to one set of parents, and logic choice was Bangalore. The other city that we considered was Coimbatore, because it will be close to my hometown in Kerala. But then we thought, okay, Coimbatore is there, but Bangalore will be very close to one set of parents, and so that was why Bangalore was chosen. But also because of job opportunities, there is many more opportunities in Bangalore than Coimbatore.
And also the fact that we had invested in real estate in Bangalore. We had an apartment already over here.
Yeah.
So yes, if Coimbatore was a choice, we would have worked it out. But because things were kind of set over here, it was logical enough to choose Bangalore at that time.
Yes. No, thanks a lot for walking through that. I think I might have want to just zoom in and cut certain points, like, the one you mentioned. 2018 is the initial spark of this discussion, right? Is that like, maybe you had kids, like what happened in 2018 to just have that initial discussion? Just curious on that.
Yeah, so 2018. So our daughter was 4 years old by that time. She was growing. The one thing that was really good is we would visit India at least once every other year. And we would have parents coming to visit us the alternate year that we are not in. So at least with immediate family, like our both sets of parents, our daughter was very much gelled with them, and she was not missing her grandparents. That immediate conversation would hit off, no hesitation. But we felt like I have a brother, he has a sister and a brother. Those siblings are the ones that she interacts with only virtually most of the time, right? Or whenever we visit India. And we felt even in those periods of time, that connection was not really there. Yes, she knew this was her mama, this was her whatever, and she will interact with them. But looking back at how we grew up, that's not how our family relationships were. So probably that's what started that initial spark back in 2018. We were like, I think we had come for a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was my brother's wedding. We had come over here, and like Diksha was just overwhelmed looking at the amount of relatives that we had, and she's not able to connect with anyone, but she still enjoyed spending time with them.
Yes.
Probably that's what was the initial sparks.
Got it. And then I think the serious planning happened between 2021 to 2023 before the move, right? I think all the planning. And I know you kind of touched a little bit about these sheets, the pros and cons, like you can't put monetary value. Like, is there any like a factor that kind of, I think you kind of mentioned about the parents, there is nothing like, you can't do like monetary value, like anything. So is there certain things that you want to guide? I think, that rational thinking process, anything that you want to highlight, specifically like for someone who might be in a similar boat, who are thinking about this, hey, this is what you should consider, or anything which is not typical, right? I mean, I think people all know about careers, finance, maybe
Yeah.
these things, but there could be certain small things that you might have considered that you think that this could be a valuable or something that they might have to think through. Anything that you can share, anything from your own analysis?
Yeah. So, I mean, there are many assumptions that we go with when we are planning the move, which for myself has been, I found out that those assumptions are not right. So, so I have been, I mean, we have been doing all this, right? And I've been talking to one of my other friend who moved back, and I was asking him, what should I do? What should I look for? What should I think about? And I mean, we talked about, but one thing he said, which struck me, and is that, Shankar, the only thing you can really objectively think about is finance. Okay, that is the only thing you can objectively think and tell to someone that this is what you need to have, this is what you. Everything else is subjective. My experiences is not going to be the same as someone else's experience. So he can tell that moving to India was such a great thing, everything worked out because of this. But you might have the same situation, but when you come back, things will be totally different for you. The only thing that can transfer between people is finance. So I would say that actually that if you have a good reason to move, just don't move just because you want to move to India. For there are things like reasons like uh, okay, in 2019 I had this thought about fire. Okay, which is
Financial independence early. Yes, yeah.
And I worked through various models of it, how I can do it, and I found out that I could achieve it in US, maybe at a later age than I could. But I mean, that's not the main motive for me, but I'm saying that if that is one of the motive, then moving to India would be a very good reason for you to move, because you can achieve that here much faster with the savings that you have from US. So that's a dimension that people can think. If you want to do fire, then moving to India would be a good option. Um, the parents is good, very good,
But you should be in a position where you can financially support yourself, and if need be, your parents, in-laws, whoever it is, right?
and yeah, one thing I would say if you're planning move is that you should have a real estate paid off in India. That I think is absolutely important because that is a make or break in your financial calculation. If you have
A monthly EMI.
monthly EMI or a rent, that really puts a wrench on your way, and you're also stuck for that for a long time. Whereas in India, what I find, I mean, I have been lucky for my job. I shouldn't complain because my job is not that demanding. I mean, it is demanding in the sense every job is demanding, but I don't have to work like 20 hours a day. I have a lot of flexibility, but that doesn't happen very often in India. So if you're moving to India and you have this big commitment that you have for 30 years, then you are not going to enjoy the move as much. So I would encourage anyone who is thinking, who are in that right age group, if you're thinking to move in India, make sure you buy a property and pay it off as much as you can before you make the move. That will really help you in your move.
I think in a nice segue, right, to the discussion that we are having, maybe you can talk a little bit about your financial planning, right? Anything that you have done and you are willing to share, like, with your 401k funds, assets, the houses. So anything that you can talk about from a financial planning with the move, I think that would be also very helpful.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we both were employed, so we both had our 401ks through our employer, and we used to, as I said, even though the move was there in the back of our mind, we never thought about moving. So we just led our lives as if we are going to live in the US, right? So we maxed out our 401ks. We had the company match. We maxed out for tax purpose how much ever we can.
Yes.
Then we put in IRAs. We put in HSAs.
Yes.
Every tax savings opportunity we could.
We did have a house, so we were building equity on it.
Yeah. And we also tried to pay off the house as much as we can. We didn't have much mortgage left when we were leaving. So, but the lifestyle that we had we can consider it's not a I wouldn't say miserly living, but it's
not
not a
luxurious.
it's not uber luxury. It's just like a regular living. So we could save quite a bit of money in our 15 years of career there. And at the same time, we did buy a house in Bangalore, and we made sure we paid off as much as we can. So it was under construction property, so we didn't have to pay everything at one time. So we had stages.
That was a benefit.
That was the benefit. So
based payment.
We paid every year, 15 months or 18 months, there was a payment coming up, and we had that money saved up right. So we never felt that pinch of paying off the house here.
And I think 22 is when we registered this.
Yeah. So by 2020 or middle of 2020, we paid off. There was only a small amount remaining for registration, which we did when we came in 2022. We came here, we did the registration of the house.
Yeah.
And then we did not put any money in savings in India or FD, maybe just some amount.
I think we had one or two FDs, but pretty nominal amounts. But all of our savings, 401ks, were all residing in the US, right? So when we decided for good that by 2022 that we are moving, that's when we started consolidating all of our accounts. Okay. We knew for a fact that we would definitely keep one active bank account in the US.
Yeah.
We currently have that with Fidelity because that's where all of our 401ks were. So then all of our accounts were consolidated. We decided to use Fidelity's investment management services for this. It is a small commission that you end up paying. It's more of a personal choice, I think. But we just felt more than the day-to-day managing, it's like having being there physically in the US would just make it easier. So that was one of the considerations that we took into place. We consolidated 401ks into IRA. There is a bank account as such, but with the minimal funding.
Yeah.
And then
but we did not move any of our funds still. It's still residing in US.
Yeah.
We did bring some cash to here for our initial needs and stuff, but most of our savings are still residing in the US.
Proceeds from the sales of the house, etc., still sits in the US.
Yeah. Okay. No, thanks a lot. Yeah, please go ahead.
Actually, I just want to come back and talk a little bit about our decision-making process, right? So I was lucky that I have a PhD in mechanical engineering, and I was working in a very prestigious project, which is a Department of Energy project. So that helped me in get my EB-1B green card pretty fast. So I applied in 2013, and then in 2014 summer or October I got my green card. So eight months I got my green card. So and then in 2019 the citizenship also came. Okay, so that was kind of 2019 we were eligible for citizenship.
Yeah.
So we applied for citizenship. So that is also one of the reasons why we started in 2018-19.
Yeah.
This thought.
When he said all those check boxes getting ticked, us like an ideal scenario, right? There are no visa dependencies per se compared to where majority even of our friends are in the boat where they're not able to make the decision. We have our citizenship. So fingers crossed, if things don't work out, there's always an exit plan for us to go back, right?
So I was telling all my friends who are things that typically, I think most of the audience that hear your channel, or even those who doesn't hear you but are in US, I'm pretty sure 70% of the people want to come back. Okay, at least they were thought about coming back to India.
I think it's definitely a discussion during the weekends, right? In the parties that,
Exactly.
they think,
Exactly.
but I think on the Monday they come back to the regular work and then they're busy with their own day-to-day stuff. I think it's the discussion to action is where I think the critical part is, and then, sticking to that. And then there should be a strong driving factor. It's just not because so-and-so went, and so maybe it might be nice to be back versus, hey, I want to do this and I want to do that, right? Yeah. So out of 70% normal discussion to really happening, maybe yes, it's a very, very small upset, but it's still
kind of critic stuff.
So the 70%, the reason I'm saying is that everyone thinks of various requirements.
Yes.
And some requirements are like, okay, what is the age of my kid? Will I have a job back? do I have enough savings to move? Are my parents at the right age group? You also don't want to go when your parents are way young and they can take care of themselves, because then you are just wasting your potential to earn, right? Or you also don't want to go when they're too old and they cannot do anything. Then your life is, you're not going to enjoy when you move away. So I know that part is maybe not everyone agrees, but it's true. But when they are old at like 85, when they cannot even move, you are just going to hate your, I mean, hate is a strong word, but you're not going to like the move, right?
Yes.
So your parents have to be at the right age window. Your kid has to be at the right age window. Your citizenship was good. So for us,
Thankfully, all of
every
that
must tick. Then I told Divya that we are fortunate that every tick box was ticked. So at least we should give it a try.
Yes.
We should not come back later saying that, oh, we didn't try and this happened. So I said, let's give it a try. Why not?
Makes sense. Makes sense. So how is the try and how is the life in India? Like, it's been 2 years. The idea,
So
like,
it's almost 2 years. We are
yeah,
celebrating our anniversary very soon of going back. And I think it had its fair amount of challenges. I wouldn't lie about it. But despite all the challenges, we are loving every bit of it. Best part is my parents live next door to me. So they have their own independence, but at the same time, we are just a call away, they are just a call away. His parents come stay with us for an extended period of time, or we can visit Kerala. It's just an overnight train journey. Lots of family around. So what Shankar was originally alluding to when he said we had it's excellent friend circle, but our social circle was awesome. It's like friends who are no less than family.
yeah.
That's the only missing part for us over here. We haven't probably been able to make such really good friends. But of course, my brothers here, we have lots of family members just a phone call away.
Yeah.
So family has actually replaced that social circle of friends that we had.
So I totally agree with you. The friends we have not been able to replace. Couple of things, because I mean we also have not ventured out for that, because we have been with family all the weekends and everything. And also when you are after about like 35, 40, it's really, really difficult to make friends. One of my argument to Divya when we thought about moving is that once she asked, "What about friends? We are going to lose our friends." And I said, "This is just to make my argument right. I now I think that's the wrong argument." But I said, "See, in US, you have, if you are talking about Indian friends, you will have 100 families, out of which you can make maybe 5 friends. But if you go to India, you have 1,000, 10,000 families where the pool is much bigger to make friends. So it's easy to make friends. But now I look back, that's not the right argument. It won't happen. It could happen if you're in early 30s, but at 40s, that would be very, very difficult, because your thought process are set, your way of life is set. So it is very difficult to find someone who will match that wavelength. And also, you have to take that action. They are not, I mean, no one is going to come and tell, oh, be my friend, right? At this, you have to go, you have to make new friends. So that's tough.
Okay, but the part, let's stick with the good factor, like things that we have enjoyed, right?
No, for sure. I mean, I think these are the things. I think, again, as you said, like you're busy with your own family events, so you might not have enough time to venture out. And also the same mindset, right? I think when you're in 30s, without kids, it's a different story, right? When you're mingling and then the time you can spend gel, it's a different thing. Once you are in like, early 40s or something, because it's a different priorities, and you need to find the like-minded people around. It's not like whether you have 10,000 people, it's just the like-minded 10 people is sufficient to find the right.
So pool doesn't really matter. How big the pool doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
The good thing is like we are enjoying being close to family, which is exactly the reason why we moved back. Pleasure of having a maid who comes in every day. That was something that we have never experienced, but even now we have kept it to a minimal. There are skills that we learned the hard way living in the US.
So we don't want to give up.
Utensils ourselves.
So our maid only does sweeping and mopping. So everything else, the laundry, the washing of vessels, everything we do.
Yeah, we are the dishwashers and the laundry people, so that's fine.
This is interesting because you don't want to give up that skill. Like I know, even though like a lot of people wants to do that, but yeah.
No, it took years to get that skill and enjoy that skill, not just learn the skill, enjoy it.
We do it as a family task. Everyone has their part in it. So yes.
So,
And the one thing that we were always concerned about was how will the kids do well, right?
Yes.
Will they adjust? But I know that we have heard it from multiple people, but to really see it with our own eyes, my daughter was 9, right? She was 9 when we moved here. She gelled so well. So we landed in India June 5th. Her school was actually reopening on June 7th. So we had requested if we can take that week off. Since it's middle of the week and we'll start on Monday.
Yeah.
So, overcome her jet lag. I think she didn't go on 7th, but on 8th, she was ready to go to school. So we did drop her off and we were literally waiting at 3 p.m. when the school was done and she's coming back as to how the reaction would be. And she was all smiles, all smiles. Just like, the school is awesome. People talk a lot. They are so friendly. And we are like, thank God, that's it. That made it for us. And she immediately made friends at the apartment. Yes, because of the close circle that we had, bonds were really tight. So she still misses a lot of her friends out there. But adapting to this environment was very easy. It was extremely easy for her. So one thing that I would want to say to all your viewers is we, at times as parents, we end up overthinking, putting ourselves in our kids' shoes, but they're so malleable. They're so malleable and they adjust and adapt so well that it would hardly take them any time to adjust in this environment.
so I mean, if I want, I mean, I don't want to be straight on this, but this is my opinion, just my opinion, is that sometimes we put our insecurities, we project it on our kids, saying that kids will not be able to adjust, which I think is, or it's basically our insecurity, whether we will adjust or not, we will find the right job or not. But that's just my opinion. Keep
Yeah.
it to whatever it is.
Kids are so flexible. I think we
Yeah.
underestimate how
We underestimate them.
how flexible they would be, how easy they would adapt. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So along the same lines, like which curriculum did she join?
So she joined the ICSC curriculum. So she goes to NAFL, National Academy for Learning, at Basveshwara Nagar. So the key difference that we noticed in the syllabus is it still follows an ICSE stream, but probably the mode of teaching, the delivery of the teaching is a little more like the American style that she has been used to. So she went to a proper public education system in the US. So the teaching style is pretty similar. Yes, there is a little more writing to be done as compared to what she has been previously exposed to. But I think this is something that we saw in most of the school tours that we did or people that we have talked to. The teachers and the system as such they're really good in helping the kid transition in that initial 3 months, 4 months, or however long it takes.
Yeah.
So one thing I would suggest to your viewers is that, I mean, they probably know the school is important, but I would again want to stress it is a school that will make or break the kids' transition.
Yeah.
So it is always. I'm not advocating that they have to go to international schools or big schools, because we ourselves, we didn't want to send our daughter to a very expensive school, even though we could afford, or that's not the point, but we did not want to send to a 8 lakh or 10 lakh school, international school. But that's just our value. That's okay. But if you can find a school where there have been students who have returned from abroad, those kind of schools know how to handle them.
And the kids will also have the company to gel with similar people if they want.
They have something to talk about when they were in US. So I think that would be a good school to look for, instead of putting them in a general school. I mean, not that. I mean, every school here, like there are many schools, DPS, NPS. There are a lot of good schools here, but they might not have the students that have returned from abroad who have the same kind of thoughts or perspective. So that is what I would encourage. If you're looking for a school, please look for a school where there have been at least a few students every year who come back, return.
Yeah, makes sense. Definitely. So one other dimension that I want to look at was on a career front, right? Because you are someone from a non-IT, you are a mechanical, core, doing something on a Department of Energy, and it's a different domain. So how easy is it for you from a career transition? Because a lot of people have this hesitation or concern from a non-IT background, and you, I think, quantitative finance. So maybe you can talk about from a career transition and how it would help. how it evolved.
Yeah. So when I graduated from engineering in India, there was absolutely nothing for mechanical engineers. Okay, I remember Hindustan Motors came to our college for campus recruitment, and they would hire students, but they would not give salary. They were they were passed for like 6 or 8 months of arrears in salary. That is how the mechanical engineering situation was. So everyone in my batch was almost in IT. There is very few people. I don't even know anyone in the core field. But now things have changed dramatically in India. You have mechanical engineering, all GCCs that you have, things like Boeing, my own company, Danfoss, Carrier, Train. These are all air conditioning companies I'm talking about, but Airbus for aviation. All these companies have their GCCs in India, and they do pay pretty well. Okay. But the thing I would say is that not keeping my situation. My situation is a little unique, but you might not find the right kind of work that you do in the US or Europe. You might not find it here. Even though it's a JCC for mechanical engineering, the GCC is still doing more of a back end job. It's a good job. I'm not saying pays well, but you don't have the free hand of a lot of new projects that you are always supporting a project that is globally done somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, but I think things are changing. I know in my own field, air conditioning, now there are companies who are moving all their design to India. So even though the product will be sold in US, the complete management of the project will be done here. So that is from the concept to the delivery will be done in India. So that is a very big change, and I think that's good. From my own perspective, it is very good because I'm doing the same job. My role is like a subject matter expert in Danfoss, looking into data center cooling. So it's a very niche, I mean, like now everyone is talking about AI and everything. There are all these data centers that need cooling. So it's a huge and upcoming field which has a lot of potential. I'm enjoying my job here. I don't have anyone like me in India in my company. But our company has a lot of investment, same kinds of investment that is happening in India, that they are developing teams in India which can take projects from start to finish. So I would say in next 5 years or so, there will be a lot of mechanical engineering companies who does advanced level of work. But at this point, I wouldn't say it's there yet, but it is going in the direction which is very good. And also with as more and more manufacturing comes to India, that would just accelerate the change.
Yeah, makes sense. That's like a fresh, air to for like a non-ITs, especially looking at this. And then I think where the trajectory is, right? I think doing not like a back-end work, but actually designing from a concept and then putting everything together and driving it. I think that's interesting to know. So thanks. So any other advice or anything that we haven't covered that we wanted to, tell our audience about who are thinking about moving to India?
So one thing I would say is, I mean, this is I don't know if it worked for us, but looks like Diksha, our daughter, she fit in rightly well, right? And one thing I would say is that
Orient them
is that we never told her that we were moving back. Okay. But we would always say, whenever there's a discussion, we would always say, oh, if we were in India, this is how it is. So we never told her directly that we are ever going to move back.
It's until the decision was made.
When the decision was made.
During like the 2019, 20 time, we will be like, hypothetically, if we were in India, this is how things would be. So kind of mentally nourish them, mentally kind of prepare them for this possible scenario. And then once your decision is finalized too, try to talk it out with them so that they don't feel they're put in a spot as soon as we move here. You can't prepare them for anything and everything, but at least the broader scope of things are something that you can orient them way in advance, keep them prepared. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very good point. Very valid point. And I think, it's kind of prepping them, right? Especially in that young age for them to visualize and then feel like they are like, part of that journey and then the discussion. So Thanks.
So one thing that helped us is that because of the nature of my job, whenever we came here for vacation, she had to go back in 3 weeks, which I think everyone who is living in US would know. We don't get too much vacation, right? So she had to go. But my kind of job is that I could stay here for like 7 weeks, longer. So I would keep our daughter here with me. She would be with my sister, her grandparents, and everything. While I would be traveling for work here. So she always got this
made it her independent in the fact that she can survive even without us.
in India. So,
She loved being with her grandparents, of course, getting pampered, or with her aunt and uncles.
so that I mean that worked for us. I'm not sure it will work for everyone, but if you can do that, try doing that so that they know it's not a shock, complete shock. But if you don't bring your kid to India at all for 9 years and suddenly you bring her after 9 years, move, that's going to be
a shock.
culture shock.
We like to accept it or not. That is the point.
Yes, that's fantastic. So maybe a couple of quick questions. It's more like a rapid fire kind of questions. So what's one thing you wish you knew before moving to India?
Wow.
That you can live in any income level that you want in India. People always say India is expensive, India is expensive, India is expensive. But I find that India is not necessarily expensive. You can live in any level of thing you
What you choose to do.
choose to do.
I think that's the beauty of it. The range is so huge. I mean, I think if you're living in abroad, like US, right, there is a minimum standard. I think the starting point itself is so high.
It's kind of set, right? Your base level is
Yeah,
here.
it's still there. Like, in India, like you can get 20 rupees chai all the way to like 200, 500 rupees
Exactly.
chai also.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
it just
So
depends.
it's up to you how you. So that was not clear to us. Everyone would say India is very, very expensive, very expensive. The only thing that is expensive is education, I would say, and
Housing. If
Other
you're
than that,
Those
two
are the
things.
main big components that drives your cost of living. I think
Yes.
once you are clear, like you have a paid house and you're clear with the education, remaining are all very manageable. I think
Yeah,
very.
everything else is manageable. That's why you set new standards.
I mean, I would say we are not living skimping. We're not skimping at all. We lavishly
I
live.
think we have the same standard of life
Yeah.
we had in the US.
We don't spend more than 50,000 rupees per month. With I don't know. So
If you
it's
don't mind, like I think, like I think you kind of mentioned, like, standard of living is similar and all that stuff. So what's your like, monthly expense, range or something that
That's
you.
what you're saying. So assuming, so without including housing
Yeah.
and school fees because we pay it off annually, right? I think we spend around 50 at the max 60 if we end up traveling on a monthly basis, but
Yeah,
50,000 a month.
this is not in the travel budget, right? So this is just monthly. We do eat out like with family.
Sides of
I-
eating, okay? The local Darshini style as well as a high-end restaurant, either ways, okay? So
So I would say 16 is a lot.
60 is a lot. 50 is what we have been trying to average that much.
Yeah. No, I think thanks for giving the actual data points because again, everybody's experience is different depending on the lifestyle, depending on weight, I
Yes.
think, all that stuff. But I think having these actual data points help. Yes, this is feasible.
And
This
yes,
is
we do
realistic.
travel a lot too. I think what we never skimp on is as a family, we love traveling. We travel India, we travel internationally too. We just finished a trip to Norway for the summer holiday break.
Yeah.
So despite that is what I'm saying, you can still have a very luxurious life in India.
Now,
One
thanks.
thing I would say is that what India gives you is that if you have enough savings, provided you have enough savings, the only thing that you have to worry in India is day-to-day life. Okay, and that anyone with the 15 years of experience in US can easily get more than that. And if you're in a habit of saving, you will save from whatever you get also, right? It's not like something that you lose.
Yeah.
It becomes part of you.
Yeah.
So and life is so easy now. You just have to earn for what you want, and everything is for
Same. Just leave it up there for your retirement.
Don't touch. Don't think that you're going to live off of that. That would be tough.
Oh, one other thing that we would add is when you had previously questioned about 401ks, etc., we also did have a 529 plan for our daughters. So we tried to save as much as possible in that account. And it is still sitting out there. In the future, if she decides to go back to the US to do her undergrad, that is always there for her. So that's another thing.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you very much for taking the time, sharing your journey, insights, and being very honest with the conversation, like providing the actual data. So really appreciate, and
Yeah,
thanks again.
no problem. Hopefully, it was something fresh. I don't know, but hopefully, it was useful.
Hopefully, it is useful for someone, eight of your viewers out there.
For sure, yes. I think even like it helps like 3 or 4 people. That's still worth, I think, the time and everything. So
Exactly.
really appreciate you taking the time and talking to us.